Okay, let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today into something specific Apple announced back at WWDC 2025. It seems small, maybe? On the surface, it's just about how they name their OAs. But, well, our sources suggest there's actually a more interesting strategy story here.
That's right. Yeah, the material we're digging into is focused squarely on these naming conventions Apple uses for its operating systems and this specific change that's coming up.
Okay, so the mission here for this deep dive is really to get beyond just the headline. We want to understand exactly what is changing and, crucially, why it matters for you, as someone using iPhones, Macs, all that stuff, and what it kind of signals about Apple's direction. Because the core thing is they're shifting away from just counting up the numbers, 17, 18, 19.
Exactly. That's the key. Instead of just continuing that sequence, like, iOS 18 this year, then maybe iOS 19 next year, iOS 20, our sources are confirming Apple's adopting a totally new standard.
And it's happening like right now, basically. That big update we're all expecting in the fall 2025. It's confirmed. It's not going to be called iOS 19. It's going to be iOS 26.
Yes, iOS 26, reflecting the year 2026, because that's going to be the main calendar year when that software generation is, predominantly used. It's very much like car model years, right? You see the 2026 cars showing up late in 2025, and this isn't just iOS, it's across the board.
Across the board, you mean like?
Yeah, everything. The sources are pretty clear. You should expect to see iPadOS 26, macOS 26, watchOS 26, tvOS 26, and yeah, even visionOS 26, all adopting that 26 marker for the updates launching this fall 2025.
Wow. Okay, that's thorough. Real standardization there. And Apple's reason for doing this, according to the sources anyway, it sounds pretty simple on paper. They're basically saying it's to standardize the branding and, importantly, reduce confusion.
Mm-hmm. They are being quite explicit about that. The stated goal is making it clearer for users which major software release they're actually running and sort of when it came out relative to the calendar year.
Reduce confusion by skipping like 7 version numbers. That feels a bit weird at first, doesn't it? I mean, we're all used to numbers just going up, 17, 18, 19, easy. But maybe they mean confusion over the long haul. Like remembering if iOS 12 came before or after macOS Mojave or watchOS 5, maybe the year, like 26, just works better as a universal anchor point across all the devices.
That's probably closer to the thinking, yeah. While the statement is reducing confusion, it might be less about 18 versus 19 and more about aligning everything, or maybe just giving less technical users a clear hook. It directly ties the software to an annual cycle that could be easier to track than this ever-increasing number that doesn't immediately tell you when it was released.
Yeah, right. It almost feels like the platforms are growing up,
right.
Moving from these separate numbered versions to just the 26 platform update.
Yeah.
It gives it a clear annual refresh marker. Maybe simplifies things not just for us users, but like developers.
Yeah.
Or big companies managing lots of devices.
Precisely. Yeah, think about it. A developer might find it way easier to say, this app needs iOS 26 features, rather than trying to remember if that was iOS 19 or 20. It just aligns the software version directly with the calendar cycle everyone understands, the one Apple already uses for hardware anyway. It sort of creates a unified Apple year across hardware and software.
Okay, so boiling it down, what does this really mean for you listening right now?
Well, the immediate thing is just how you'll see and talk about the big software updates starting this fall. Get ready for iOS 26, macOS 26, and so on. Tying the update to the year, it's mainly for, like we said, car model years.
Mm-hmm. And beyond just the name, the sort of bigger picture takeaway here is that Apple is actively focusing on clarifying things, standardizing. They clearly saw the OS version name as maybe a point of confusion or just branding messiness that needed fixing right now.
So for you, it's not just, a new name. It's kind of a signal. Apple's refining how it presents its whole connected world of devices and software. Which actually raises a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? If Apple felt something as fundamental as the OS version number needed this kind of standardization tweak to reduce confusion, what other parts of their ecosystem, which is getting, more complex all the time, what else might they be looking at simplifying or clarifying for users next? Definitely something to think about as we look ahead.